They came from the black, silent, and cold. The Virat Dominion were not newcomers to conquest. They were the architects of it. Their fleets burned through worlds with the same detachment as one might clear dust from glass. When their warships descended upon Ventura Prime, humanity's outermost colony, they expected compliance. Or extinction. The colony had no fleet, no orbital guns, just miners, settlers, engineers, 10,000 souls trying to turn a barren moon into home. The Virat flagship Korthul descended through cloud and ash. Its commander, a crimson-scaled warlord named Praetor Keshara, watching the human colony through a viewplate with amused disdain. "Primitive outpost," he hissed, voice thick with arrogance. "No weapons, no defenses. Yet they call themselves a species of conquerors." His second-in-command chittered in agreement. "We will take their ore refineries intact. Their workers, expendable." They broadcast a message to the colony below. "This world belongs to the Virat Dominion. You are trespassers. Evacuate or be purged." The colonists did not reply. Keshara gave the order. The bombardment lasted 17 minutes. When it ended, Ventura Prime was a smear of molten glass on a dead rock. 10,000 human lives erased without resistance. In his arrogance, Keshara recorded the destruction, sent it across subspace, tagged to the Terran diplomatic channel. His message was mocking, deliberate, and cruel. "Your shadows are empty, Terrans. No fleets, no vengeance, no teeth." Then he laughed, a shrill, metallic sound that echoed across the void. The silence of Earth, the Dominion expected outrage, demands for negotiation. Please, they got nothing. Days passed, weeks. Human comms fell silent across known space. The trade beacons at Sol dimmed. The chatter of the Terran network, usually alive with politics. Markets and messages vanished. In Virat space, the silence became a joke. Keshara toasted in his war hall. Crystalline blood wine glimmering under alien lights. "See how fragile they are? Their silence is surrender. Their worlds, ours for the taking." The Dominion's council agreed. They saw humanity as spent, once loud, but now broken. Exploration fleets moved deeper into human territory, capturing outposts and scrapping their vessels for parts. The reports that came back spoke of empty systems, abandoned listening posts, and dark colonies. The humans were gone. The shadows between the stars, it seemed, were empty indeed. Yet, something felt off. Some Virat scouts whispered that their sensor arrays caught faint energy traces, gravitic anomalies near old Terran warp relays, silent stations showing sudden power surges before vanishing again. Command dismissed it all as sensor ghosts, because after all, who fears shadows? Third, the echo that answered. The first warning came not from a ship, but from a scream, an automated distress signal from Virat Outpost 19 Gamma, orbiting the gas giant Drylas. When Dominion vessels arrived, the station was gone. Not destroyed, gone. The entire outpost had been vaporized down to atomic residue, the debris field stretching for millions of kilometers. A single object remained. Floating amid the wreckage was a polished obsidian plate. On it, in precise human script, "We heard your laughter." The Dominion tried to keep it quiet. They failed. Within days, 22 Virat convoys vanished. Patrols found only drifting hulks, cut apart so cleanly that the metal looked sliced by light itself. One ship's black box played only a single fragment of recorded sound, a rhythmic pulse, like a heart beating, deep and mechanical, followed by a voice speaking in perfect veration. "You thought our shadows empty. You never looked deep enough." Then static panic began to stir. Phi. The shadows move. On the 14th cycle of the third Dominion moon, Keshara received a transmission that froze his blood. It came through all bands, overriding encryption, cutting through jamming fields like a blade. The image was grainy, the voice distorted, but unmistakably human. "Praetor Keshara, you erased 10,000 of our people. Did you think we would not see? Did you think the dark was yours alone? You looked into our shadows and saw emptiness. That was your first mistake." The image shifted to a star map. It showed Virat space from above. Hundreds of red markers blinked across their core worlds, border fortresses, and shipyards. "Those are not targets," the voice continued. "They're tombstones. You just haven't realized it yet." The transmission ended. Moments later, all long-range sensors across Dominion territory lit up. Gravitic distortions, hundreds at first, then thousands, rippling through hyperspace like a tidal wave. Then, the fleet appeared. Not scouts, not ships of mercy, war fleets Kavi, the return of humanity. The Terran armada emerged from subspace like a storm made flesh. The void itself seemed to bend beneath their formation. At the center, the dreadnought Sol's Wrath, a ship so vast it carried its own moons for logistics. Its hull was obsidian black, its surface lined with shimmering lattices that devoured sensor pings. Around it swarmed carriers, frigates, destroyers, all marked with the insignia of the United Terran Directorate, a symbol not seen in the stars for 50 years. The Dominion scrambled everything. Planetary defenses lit up, their orbital cannons spitting plasma fire into the void. The Terrans didn't answer. They advanced, and when they fired, stars died. The first barrage erased 3 Virat moons in one breath. Another volley cracked the crust of their border world, Hesker, turning its continents into seas of glass. No warnings, no declarations, only annihilation. Keshara, watching from his flagship, screamed into his comms. Where did they come from? Their fleets were gone. The answer came from his own officer, trembling. From the shadows, Praetor. They hid there. It was true. When the Dominion mocked them, humanity hadn't fled. They had gone dark. They turned off their beacons, sealed their gates, and built in silence. Entire fleets constructed in the void, their signals masked beneath the noise of nebulae and dead suns. While the Virat laughed, Earth prepared. They forged weapons that bent light, reactors that pulsed with captured singularities, and soldiers who merged with their ships in neural unity. They became ghosts, and ghosts remember who killed them. The judgment of Earth, the Dominion fleet tried to rally near their capital system, Varketh. 300 warships formed their proud defensive line. The Terrans did not even slow. When Sol's Wrath entered orbit, it unleashed a weapon unseen since the first expansion, a Helios lance, a beam of condensed stellar plasma. It struck the capital world's defense grid, slicing through its atmosphere like sunlight through fog. The planet's crust ruptured. Oceans boiled. Billions burned beneath the Terran flag. From orbit, the human admiral, Fleet Marshal Aisha Wren, watched in silence. Transmit the verdict, she ordered. Across every open channel, her words were broadcast, translated into 100 languages. Unfiltered and cold, for Ventura Prime, for the 10,000 dead, for every colony you thought beneath notice. The Directorate does not forgive. The Directorate does not forget. You looked into the dark between stars and saw nothing. But the dark looked back. Then she gave the final order. Burn it all, severed. Fire and silence. What followed was not war. It was reckoning. Human strike fleets swept through Virat space with surgical precision. They didn't conquer. They erased. Orbital shipyards became clouds of dust. Defense stations imploded from within, their AI cores rewritten by Terran code that turned their own cannons inward. Entire populations vanished under kinetic bombardments that cracked planets like eggshells. Even when the Virat tried to surrender, their messages went unanswered. Humanity's fleets moved in silence, no boasting, no rage, no mercy, just cold, perfect destruction. Some Dominion soldiers began taking their own lives rather than face capture. Others whispered that the Terrans were not flesh anymore, that they'd become part of their machines, vengeful ghosts piloting the vessels of the dead. In a sense, they weren't wrong. Every ship of the Directorate carried the memory cores of Ventura Prime's fallen. Their neural echoes guided the weapons. The ghosts did steer the fleet. When the last Virat world burned, a single transmission was sent to all known powers. The Directorate will not expand. We do not seek dominion, but harm one of ours again, and your stars will go dark. Then the fleets vanished, retreating back into the void as suddenly as they had come. 8. The aftermath a month later, the Galactic Council met in emergency session. The Virat Dominion no longer existed. Its space was dust, its world silent. The councilors whispered in fear. If humanity could do that to a war empire, what could they do to the rest of them? Ambassadors recalled every insult, every slight, every treaty broken at Earth's expense, and shivered. None dared speak against them again. Trade requests to Sol went unanswered. Probes sent into human space vanished without trace. The humans had returned to their shadows, unseen but known. One counselor, a gray-feathered Avrixi elder, finally spoke what all were thinking. They hid in silence. We thought them gone. But the shadows were never empty. The shadows waited. And in those words, a new law was born across the stars, an unspoken one, passed from captain to soldier, from empire to empire. Do not provoke the Terrans. Because somewhere out there, beyond the edge of known space, beneath the quiet hum of dead systems and dark nebulae, fleets still waited, silent, patient, eternal. And if the stars ever again burned with human wrath, the galaxy knew the end would not come from light, it would come from the shadows.